I just want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey, guys. Welcome to the show, 888-659-3727. What's interesting is, I don't get a day off or a hangover. I have to come to work. Doesn't matter what happens in my life, Bald Truth doesn't close down.
Mentor doesn't close down.
Guys, welcome to the broadcast.
Good work, man.
This is the Hair Loss Show. If you're new to the broadcast, don't know who we are, why we are here, I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of The Bald Truth, the first complete guide to preventing and treating hair loss, and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. Both of these books were published about 26, 27 years ago. Believe it or not, one is still in print. That's how I started my career as a consumer advocate in this insane field. And then I had a little radio show for a while, about 11 years, actually, nationally syndicated radio show. Originally out of New York, WABC in New York, then Westwood One Radio here in Los Angeles, syndicated across the country and on XM satellite radio. So we have a lot of experience talking to young, balding guys in desperate need of help, because that's what we do. That's my job. So for all the new followers on Instagram who are trying to figure out why I don't give you the solution to hair loss in a 40-second reel, that's because that solution doesn't exist. Now,
well, number one, it's because it's a 40-second reel. And
right.
If it did exist, it would take a lot longer than that. But, yeah, than what you said.
Right. I got my Barry White voice on today. That's good. It's from drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Here's your reality, people. And I'm sorry that I have to bring this to you this way. I believe in hope. I'm a man who has a lot of hope. I've been balding for 40 effing years. 40 years. So
that's a medical term, by the way.
Yeah, effing years. Balding for 40 years? Effing years? What's the medical term? I don't get it.
Effing years, yeah. Balding for effing years.
Yeah. I've been balding all of my life, basically. And the reality is, yeah, you can, if you're lucky, if you make the right moves with today's current treatments, keep your hair on life support for a long time. But you can never completely stop the process. It is you could turn into a slow, agonizing burn. That's about as best as you could do. Good night. No, I mean, but you could. No, but you really can. I mean, if you make the right moves and you don't spend your time derma rolling for 268 days in a row and rubbing oil into your scalp and buying everyone's nonsensical product because you see that they have this cool video that they send you to on Instagram, and the video, you can't stop the video. You know those videos you can't stop? You got to watch the whole thing into the end. If you're sent to one of those and they're guaranteeing that their product is going to grow your hair back, I could guarantee that you're being sold a guaranteed piece of shit. And that is the reality of this industry.
So what you're trying to say is,
yeah. So you're trying to say is there's a chance?
There's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. So what I'm saying is, yes, if you're a young guy starting to lose his hair, you can probably slow the progression. In some cases, you can slow that progression for decades. You can keep your hair in multiple anagen phases where it would have been miniaturizing. But a hair transplant is not going to fix your problems. Castor oil is not going to fix your problems. Massaging your scalp is not going to fix your problems. Hanging upside down is not going to fix your problems. I think, there's some dietary changes you can make that could help with the inflammatory markers of this once thought to be non-inflammatory alopecia. Now they're realizing that androgenic alopecia is partially inflammatory. And there's some nutraceutical products that can help for sure. I'm a believer. But in today's world, what we have today, if your foundation, as far as your treatment regimen is concerned, is not a foundation of a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, just go to my friend Harry at Bald Cafe and shave it now. That's the reality.
Researching the best razor solutions.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger.
Head shavers.
For all of you guys who are now claiming that I have some sort of connection with Big Pharma, I would tell you this. When that door opens, and it may open again, I will take the money. Because I've been using these drugs for 30 years. If anyone could speak to the effectiveness of these medications, it's me and the guy next to me who's got one of the best hair transplants in the world. And he uses drugs to keep it. That's it. That's my opening, people. So anyone new, this is a call-in show. I know I did a poll on Instagram, and there were I don't know how many hundreds of people took the poll. And one of the questions were, if I go live, would you call in a live IG, show or this live show? Would you prefer to not use the phone because you don't do phone, or would you prefer to just chat in the chat room and wait for me to respond to you in hopes that I'll respond to your question? The amount of people that basically said they would not pick up the phone was amazing to me.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, all right, well, good luck, brother. We may see your question in the chat. We may not see your question in the chat. But if you want to help yourself, just call in. We'll spend all the time that you need so that we can better inform you. I can't speak today. So that we can better inform you about this insane industry and help you to navigate this cesspool safely, at least as safely as possible.
Wow. Because they don't understand what they're asking. The gravity of what they're looking at. Wow.
They honestly believe that they can get the information from Instagram or just from me responding to a question in a chat.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's frightening that in 2024, the questions that I'm getting, since I've been concentrating a little more on social media, I can't believe it. The hat myths, wearing hats, I understand there's a lot of fear-mongering about 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. I get that. I understand their fear. But I'm just being honest with these kids. If you want to keep your hair for any reasonable amount of time, or you're considering having any type of surgery, you have to be on medication. You can try topicals, but remember, topical finasteride is a lot of people are using to avoid side effects. You can have side effects from it. It definitely, goes systemic. Now, topical dutasteride, the claim is that the molecules are bigger and it may not go systemic, stuff like. I'm not sure about that. I don't think all the data's out on that, but that's a possibility. But if you're using topical finasteride, some of it's going to go systemic. You could have adverse side effects. But whatever you do, you need to be on one of these medications if you want to maintain your hair and if you want to get a hair transplant. That's it. I got nothing more to say. Joe, I don't know what you got to bring to the table. We'll take some calls. But I have to.
Well, what you're
these
just
people are
about,
upset.
The topical thing you're just talking about, I think when you're talking about topical finasteride, or we'll say topical DHT inhibitors,
yeah,
I think that the issue of it, whether or not they cause side effects, that's always an issue with the oral format,
right?
With the pills,
right.
But when the topical revolution, we'll call it, it's just like with FUE. It only exists because of one negative reason from the alternative, from the original source. With FUE, it only exists because people don't want a strip scar. There's no other reason for it to exist.
Right.
With topical applications of DHT inhibition, it only exists to supposedly avoid the side effects
That's
of
correct.
the original oral application.
Right.
But that's not how it works.
That's right.
And when you combine the variable of not knowing if it's going to cause side effects by actually going systemic, on top of the already existing problem of not knowing if your generic medication is worth a shit, it's even more risky, in my view, to take any sort of topical DHT inhibitor because you're just compounding your issues. And most people don't even realize that. They still don't think about that potential lack of consistency long term with the topicals because they all use generic formulations. They all use generic ingredients.
Well, this is what, and again, I'm fine with it. You know, I mean, if you find a physician who has a good product, you could work directly with them.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. And if it makes people feel better, just also understand that one of the reasons is it is effective, at least topical finasteride, and it seems to be effective all over the scalp, is because it does go systemic. It does get into your bloodstream. Otherwise, it wouldn't affect your donor. It would only affect the areas that you're applying the product to. But that's fine. Maybe less is getting into your bloodstream. There's less of a chance of side effects, supposedly, and that's great. Yeah. But what bugs me and that people don't fully grasp is these compound and mashup companies that are compounding these medications. And, there's no FDA-approved compounded medication. People don't understand it. Now, you can say that the medications used to make this compounded medication are FDA-approved. But there's never been any testing of certain medications compounded together and what the long-term adverse possibilities are. So when you see these combinations of, you got guys, they're throwing topicals with spironolactone in it for men. And they don't get me started on these companies like Hims, where, I'm seeing these guys who they're selling, I think that, I can't be sure, but it looks like they're marketing to younger people. Possibly. I don't know if that's their direction. So, relax, Hims, don't come after me for the statement because I don't know. It's just my opinion. But they're selling combination Cialis, generic Cialis, with what did I see the other day? What was the drug?
Tadalafil.
No, it was tadalafil and oral minoxidil.
Yeah.
Together, so you could have you basically you're taking a dick pill and you're saving your hair at the same time. Now, who knows what that combination in one tablet or soft gel or whatever they're selling, who knows what that's going to do to people? And the fact that young people are probably going to end up taking that and be on Cialis, a daily dick pill medication. We don't know what the long-term effects of that are for young people to take these drugs for decades, possibly. The whole thing is just amazing. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
I ordered some, but whatever. That's for me.
That's beside the point.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for you people.
Yeah. I'm going to test out the dick pills.
I'm the guinea pig.
The combination hair and dick pills. And I'll let you know how it works out.
Video at 5.
Yeah. Anyway. But I do think that young guys are addicted to dick pills now, too. I'm talking about kids at like 19, 20. It's like the rampant steroid abuse.
See, I'm not plugged in enough to know.
All right.
Can't answer that one. Can't even address it. If they are, it's sad. And don't forget to hit the like button because it's really juicy content today.
Yeah. But what's interesting, Joe? Let me see if the phones are on because there's not an effing phone call. This is a call-in show. I'm not here for my health. I'm not here just to entertain you guys. We do this to help you guys out. What's up?
Yeah.
What's interesting?
Some little drama in the chat room, but I'm not going to address it right now.
Drama in the chat room.
So let's talk about the subject of today's show, where the question is global hair loss getting worse? Meaning, are there more cases of hair loss for men and women today worldwide than there has been in the past?
Yeah.
And it reflects based on some things you're telling me about the questions and the
Republic of India,
the comments that you're getting with your explosive Instagram growth. My God, you're blowing up.
Well, what I found interesting
congratulations on that, by the way.
About 24% of my followers now are from India, and at first I was like, "Are these bots? Is this spam?" They're all asking me questions, and they're all desperate. And then you have the guys that are coming out saying that, what are you talking about? We've been using these oils, and I said at the last show, look at, we have the most beautiful hair in the world. We've been using these oils for 10,000 years, and I'm like, great, then leave me alone, because if oiling your scalp worked, your compatriots, your countrymen, all of these young people who are suffering with hair loss would be fine. They wouldn't be contacting me.
And the algorithm wouldn't be showing you my reels.
Yeah. I have to say that I think one of the reasons why the algorithm's showing you the reel is that I actually did a stitch of a young Indian kid who was doing derma rolling and minoxidil.
Yeah.
And, he's got a lot of Indian followers, so that put it out there. And he just did a reel about me doing a reel about him, which is funny. And he was doing the reel wearing an LED helmet.
I know.
All lit up. Like it was like a lit up stormtrooper talking about, some study that he found on ChatGPT. Here's the reality, kid.
As if he looked normal.
Yeah. If this kid is listening, this is the reality. I see that you're growing your hair back, and that's great. You're using FDA approved medication. I actually think he's using Hassan's product. So yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
That's great. But I can tell you this, that if you continue to derma roll on a regular basis, you're going to see those results diminish faster than they would have if you weren't doing that. That's just reality. I don't know what to say. Don't you think that if I wanted to sell derma rollers and dermal stamps and put the American Hair Loss Association seal on it, that I couldn't sell more dermal stamps than anyone else in the world? It's an easy sell. Why wouldn't I do it?
He's hoping you don't.
Yeah. Well, there's some other guy.
Thought about it.
There's some other guy that is claiming, some other guy that does sell derma rollers that's all pissed off at me. Look, I don't care what you sell, man. I don't sell anything. I'm telling these kids the truth. If you don't want to know the truth, this is the wrong account. Go to Harry's account, Bald Cafe. Because you're going to end up there eventually. Anyway, so that's the reality. So yes, there's a lot of people around the world, young people, but I also think, and I was speaking to Harry about this the other day. Him and I had a little exchange on Instagram, and there's also this new normal that's been created for young people, where they're thinking about hair loss when they might not have thought about it, and they may not even be losing their hair. They may be starting to get a slight change or a maturing hairline, which is very normal. But they're seeing all this hair loss content, and they're getting all these ads for dick pills and hair pills, and they think they need to be on this stuff, and they think they need to start to do something for their hair loss prematurely. So I think maybe there's some sort of a increase overall in early onset androgenic alopecia, but I think it might be more of a perceptual issue than anything else. I'm not sure.
I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's also logical to say that, there's more hair loss in the world because there's more people in the world. So that's also another logical reason for this. But I do think that what you said has a lot of merit to it. There's a lot more concern about it because it's more of a topic of discussion on social media, not just social media, but on television. Like people are talking about it. You got these reality shows that started years ago where, cosmetic surgery type of shows where they follow people who've had various forms of such, including hair transplant surgery. It's all, sports stars are talking about it, or at least not hiding it that they've had it done. So it's really come to the forefront as a situation of simple awareness. And so when they're aware of it, they're talking about it more, they're more concerned about it. And I think that ultimately that is why we are seeing more hair loss globally than ever before. It's just a perception issue. We can perceive it more now than in the past.
Well, and these kids think that if they have slightly recessed, corners, their hairline is no longer round, it is more of an M shape, that they're losing their hair.
Yeah.
I know guys who, I have some friends of mine, they're balding now, but they held on for a very long time. That happened to them when they were like 21, 22. Their hair changed. Yep. And it just stuck, Look at James Woods. He had deep recessions for a long time and a full head of hair.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Lights are going on, they're going off. They're going on, they're going off. I think we're getting the low attention span, guys. But we'll see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Greg from Boston. Actually, I spoke to you guys a few weeks back.
Hey, Greg.
Shower rod
What's
guy.
up, Greg?
You're the what? Oh, the guy with the fucked up shower rod. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
I fixed it. It's good now. It's good.
Complain.
I actually was calling in because since we went through that whole debacle of me trying to get my before and after picture, I just forgot to ask my actual question that I had that day. And I was wondering if I can give it to you guys and see what you guys think.
Because you only get one shot on this show.
Next. One shot.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
You get another one. Go ahead.
What's up?
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So here's the thing. So, as you know, I have got some pretty good regrowth, but there's one little problem that I've been seeing, and nothing's really happening to it. So the left side of my head, the hair is a decent amount shorter compared to the right side. I don't know. I think I know what it might be, but since I've been on the oral minoxidil and dutasteride, everything else is growing, but besides this like one spot, it's like the left side of my hairline. There's hair there, but it just won't grow longer. And it's been like, I've been on minoxidil for I think 5 months at this point. Now here's what I think it might be. So a lot of the times, as you know, I told you I put a lot of product in my hair, like the hairspray. Whenever like I'm done with work and I go home, I would pull on it a lot, and especially on my left side. So I pull a lot of hairs out. I don't know if that actually damages the hair cycle because it feels good, man. I don't know. People do fidget stuff. That's what I do.
So you have trichotillomania.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is, I'm severely stopped, but I did it for a while.
Yeah, that's an OCD. It's a disorder. It's an OCD issue. More women suffer from it than men, but a lot of young guys suffer from it as well. It's like a tick almost. So yeah. So where are you with that right now?
Say it again.
Where are you with that right now? Are you still doing it?
No. It's just about completely stopped. I want to say it's like that addicting. I mean, it just felt really good. But when I found out, I looked online. I'm like, man, why is the left side like this? And I remember I used to pluck my hair a lot, and I was like, well, it could be affecting it. You could be disrupting their hair cycle and everything. And I was like, I got scared, so I stopped.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you stopped.
I still kind of do a little bit, but it's like 90% less, honestly.
Okay. And you've gotten a transplant?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I confused your story with somebody else's. Well, I will tell you this. I mean, I don't want to freak you out, but depending on how long you did that, it's possible that you could damage the hair follicles, and you can basically cause a scarring type of alopecia, where some of the hairs won't grow back. That's not, it's kind of like when women overpluck their eyebrows. Now, you had to have done that for a long period of time, several years to the same hair follicles. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. But they could be, and I could use this word when I'm talking about something medical, but you could have retarded the growth. That could retard the growth. And it's possible that that's why things are not, things are a little slow right now. But the fact that you see hair in that area, and it's just not growing to terminal hair yet, means that the follicles weren't completely damaged.
Yeah, the hair is completely there.
Yep.
It just doesn't really. So I've noticed it maybe grew a little bit, and I try to be as objective as I can. Like I'm not trying to think I see things.
Yeah.
It maybe grew a little bit, just because everything else grew a little bit, and then the difference is not that big.
Definitely slower than the rest of it. You can see a
100%
definite
slower.
Difference. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. It's just a small subsection.
It could be a temporary issue where it's just kind of traumatized and it could be temporary. But like Spencer said, if you've been doing it for quite a while, then it could also be akin to traction alopecia, where it just gives up. It can't come back. Micro scarring. It creates almost like a poisonous area where it just can't regrow, or it can't grow well. But give it time. It can completely recover if you haven't been doing it for years. So
and there's actually hair. If hair's pumping out of those follicles, if you keep using topical minoxidil, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
New ones can come and kind of go over it. It's like a small area. It's not like a large portion of it. It's just whenever I do, I put my hair in the upward area. So like whenever I see it, it kind of has like a little bit of an indent. But as long as I just know, basically my question was like what I think you should do. Should I just play the waiting game and just see what happens? I've only been on minoxidil for around 5 months. The task was around like 8 months, 9 months.
Well, it is a waiting game.
so-
You're already on the medication. You can't get off of it now. And if I remember from the last call, you're having positive results.
No side effects. Everything's good.
So just, it is a waiting
there isn't
game.
anything I should add. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a waiting game. And do not do whatever you can to avoid pulling on your hair. Yeah, I know it's difficult. It's easier said than done. But the fact that you're already better means that it's possible for you to be completely well and get away from that, because you will damage your hair.
Yeah, no, I mean, reality.
If it is the issue of the hair growing in, looking kind of coarse and wiry as well, you can literally change the texture of your hair by doing exactly what you're doing. You may not kill it permanently, but as it starts to come in and regrow at a more of a normal rate, it might start coming in with a different texture or maybe even a darker color. I've seen that happen as well. So it is definitely in your best interest to no more pooling on it. Okay, just avoid it at all costs. Let it do what it needs to do. Give it enough time to do to recover from what you're putting it through.
Okay, I really appreciate your responses. Just one real quick one, and then I'll let somebody else go in. So I did do a little bit of research for like a couple weeks. I for the pulling of the hair. I don't know if this is something that is smart to do, but from what I noticed, if you take like a microscope, there's some online on Amazon that you can get, and it's supposed to have like kind of like this like black dot look to your scalp, where those are the ones that are actually damaged that I pulled out. Is that how I can kind of confirm that that's kind of what's happening? Is that something that you think I should get?
So are you talking about like club hairs or? I mean, you can see. Yeah, go ahead.
He can see a hair poking through, is what he's saying, and I've seen this, and it doesn't mean anything. It could just be a normal hair coming through that wasn't even touched by you in the past.
You're probably better off not getting yourself a digital microscope. A handheld. So I mean, and take this in the spirit of that demand. You already have an obsessive, personality and an obsessive disorder. You don't want to give yourself another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's smart. Actually,
don't feed
it.
And just for everyone else listening, it's like just because you can get a microscope and you can see, like, let's assume that you can tell that it's damaged. What difference will it make? You still got to wait.
Yeah. Now you know.
damage
So now you
is more
confirm
than
that
you
it's
can see or
damage,
not.
and you're hoping that, and then you give yourself even more anxiety, hoping that it reverses. There's no point.
It was more of just to confirm, so I know, like, okay, this is what it is, so I can be like, okay,
Well, what
if
else?
there's something I can do, there is.
What else do you think that it could be? And if it was something else, what would you be able to do for it?
And how
I
would you
don't
be able
know.
to
That's
tell
what I was gonna
by
ask you
looking
guys.
at it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the
It's a
thing
waste
is,
of money,
I wouldn't be
waste of
able to
time.
tell.
Here's the point. There's
Yeah.
no point really.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that
Okay.
you,
Yeah.
given your history, and we're not doctors, but the fact that you have trichotillomania, and you've been doing that. How old were you when you started to do that?
Pulling on the hair, man. Probably like my late 20s. I'm 32 right now.
Okay, so it's not that long. So that's
Probably like 4 years.
okay. So it wasn't since childhood. That's good.
Oh no, definitely not since childhood.
That's
it's
usually
just because
when
of the product.
That's usually when it starts.
No, this is because of the product that's in my hair, and it's like my day's done. I get rid of it, and I get rid of it. I just sit down and pluck like the product that's in my hair, which rips out the hair as well.
Yeah. Well, so make sure that you do your best to resolve that problem. And there's, in some cases, some people need therapy for this or different medications, but you don't want to take medications if you don't have to. And if you think you can control it, then you're probably going to be fine. But that's probably the reason why it's growing slower in that area.
Okay, no, that's cool. So I'll just do the waiting game. And there's nothing else I should really do besides that.
No, not that I could think of. I mean, Joe.
Nope. Hurry up and wait.
All right.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Hurry up and rate.
Carry on.
Yeah. All right. Good luck.
Thank you guys
I'm glad
so
you
much.
fixed that shower rod, by the way. Take it easy.
I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Nice and straight, man.
Okay.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Call us back later and let us know how it works out. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely.
The phone number
All
is
right, take care.
888-659-3727. I'll take your calls in a second. I got to tell you though, man, going out last night in California, it was like when you go to a bar on Thanksgiving Eve and like every woman's depressed.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I had a good time. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Adrian from Melbourne, guys. How are we?
Adrian, what's happening,
Adrian.
brother? I'm doing the show with a blistering hangover, but otherwise everything's good.
Yeah, I hear you, brother.
feeling pretty good,
I'll
thank
be
you.
doing that tomorrow. Yeah, I'm a lot happier today than last week. I've had my antidepressants this week. I was a bit down on that call, but that guy really had an effect on me, the one who sadly took his life. But things are good, guys. I'm going to a concert today. It's a 50th anniversary for this band that I followed religiously in my late teens, and I'm happy to say I've got more hair than probably all of them combined today. So
That's great,
that's a
man.
win.
Well
Which is
done.
great. But,
Well done.
I love
Yeah.
hearing that.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the irony of it. But yeah, look, I think it's either placebo or the saw palmetto maybe having an effect, or maybe just the anagen desynchronization has settled itself. But my hair generally, when I think of it compared to the start of the year, when it was starting to shed, I feel it's bouncing back.
Oh,
Or
that's
has
great.
bounced back,
Good.
which is good.
Good. You have your
Um,
bad hair months
you know,
and your good hair months.
Yeah, I've just accepted now, I think, Joe, that there'll be periods where I'll have hair that's less than the norm, and other periods in time where it bounces back. But anyway, I see Dr. Bevan Boyle in a week or so. So I'll speak with him.
good.
I'll speak with him. I mean, you mentioned topicals before. I don't know if that's something he's going to look at. But I'll call back after that and let you know what his advice is. So I'll keep this short and sweet, guys. But thanks for all you do as always.
All right,
Have
brother.
a super weekend, and
We always
maybe go
appreciate
back
you.
to bed after this.
We always appreciate you calling in, and I'm always glad to hear what's going on in your life and the fact that things are better for you hair-wise. That's great, man. I mean, you've been through the
100%.
mill, brother.
Yeah. Well,
You made it.
I feel stronger for it. I made it. Yeah, I made it. I got out. So finally.
All right,
But
brother.
I don't think it matters when.
Good stuff.
But look, take care, guys. And
All right.
love you both.
All
See you
right.
guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Love you too. No homo.
Bye.
See ya.
And hit the like button.
888-659-3727 is the phone number. I think we're going to be able to say stuff like that again.
Love you too. No homo. Hit the like button. I should record that. Love you
great.
too. No homo. Hit the like button.
It's great.
And subscribe.
Yeah. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello.
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 Hey, this is Chuck. This is Chuck from Los Angeles.
Chuck from LA. What's happening,
What's up,
brother?
Chuck?
How's it going, guys? Just wanted to share a recent experience with minoxidil that I have been going through. I was using the topical for about 2 years, alongside like 6 years of finasteride, and the topical started to seem that the results were waning a little bit. It got me to a very perfect place where there was absolutely zero indication of any loss. And once it sort of dipped a little bit and plateaued, and I know that's kind of common with minoxidil, at least topically. So I figured I wanted to switch over to the oral, and I never experienced an initial shed from the topical, and boy, did I experience a shed dropping the topical, obviously. But I didn't think it would be this bad while introducing the oral. But I know that any change, regardless of even if it's the same active ingredient, just the way of introducing it is gonna
Delivery,
switch
yeah.
things up. Yeah, so it's very interesting because I was seeing very early growth from the oral, while insanely shedding from dropping the topical. So I was like shedding and growing at the same time.
Okay.
It was very interesting. Like there were hairs in the very, very front that, are coming up that I've never seen a hair there before. So I was very excited and like a clear indicator. Okay, the oral is doing something. And then behind it, it's just like, it's been rough, but I think I'm finally reaching, a stable place.
How long did you go through the shed for?
Probably very gradually, probably 2 months
Okay.
or so. And I feel like right around now I'm in a pretty stable place.
That's great.
But it was bad. It was rough. I had to change up my whole hairstyle, I mean the hardest thing is that I work in entertainment and like I make money on how I look. So it's very like when I'm working a job and I have to be, like hair has to be manipulated in certain ways. It's very stressful.
Dude, what do you think about
Yeah.
this sculpture is exhausting. Trust me. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But so I'm excited to see what
How old are
kind
you?
of growth I can get out of this. 30.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm glad that it was a relatively short shed. Some people go through these teals and effluviums for like 6 months. I mean, so
Yeah, it's
you're
terrible.
you're coming out of it pretty quickly, and you're already seeing.
I would think that's
regrowth.
probably maybe due to also using the oral, though. Wouldn't you think, potentially?
Yeah, it can be, but some people just jump on any med, even if they were never taking minoxidil. They get on oral minoxidil, and they go through a massive shed that could last for months.
Yeah.
So it really depends. That's why I have some retrograde alopecia now. It's thinner in the nape in the back. I can't grow it as long without it looking really thin and scraggly. And just 5 years ago, I was able to. So I am keeping that option in my back pocket. But, I'm concerned about starting it. I don't want to go through a massive shed. So I'm just, I'm kind of playing a waiting game. I upped my finasteride a little bit. I'm seeing how that, changes things, if things are more stable, and if I can hold on to what I have for now. I'll wait to get on the or minoxidil. But, you've been through it. So you're coming out the other side. And I think that's you're probably going to be in a really good position. And it's possible you can keep your hair in an anagen phase for 2, 3, 4 more cycles. And that could be over a decade or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, another thing that I also changed up is that I switched from my finasteride 3 days a week, which I've been doing for the last 6 years. And then the very front inch of my hair maybe is the only spot that's sort of in flux with the minoxidil, but the everything behind it has is solid. And I figured that I don't know, I wanted to switch to using it daily, from 3 times a week to daily. So I don't know how, I know that people can get away with seeing results in stabilization with a really tiny amount, but I figured that I wanted to kind of actually use it as prescribed and see if, I don't know, it just felt right.
Okay, well, you're doing okay right now, so don't mess with anything. Stick it out. And
stay the course.
I'm curious to know, what your hair's going to look like in, 3 months. You should give us a call.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll try to send in some photos.
Yeah. Oh, anytime you send an email, make sure you send it to Joe because I won't look at them. I'm just kidding. I don't get them. So, and
it's definitely
Joe likes mail.
I do.
And female.
There you go. Oh, wait. There you go. Good one.
Thank you. It's tricky to dealing with the anxiety from this, and it's hard to know, is it okay that my anxiety goes away when this starts to look better and when I see more growth coming in? Because ultimately, I want to, not be in such a dreadful mood when it's in a bad position. But it's so tough. My doctor actually, she said, if I can prescribe you with not going on Reddit, I'm going to prescribe you with that. And
she sounds like a good doctor.
And honestly, ever since I have been so much less anxious from all of these positive and negative confirmation biases of these individuals, and it can be a really dangerous place mentally, and I feel so much better not going to it in my spare time and seeing I'm feeling a little weird. Has anybody else felt like this? And then it's a fucking rabbit hole, and it's just
when you have people on Reddit that share their opinions and advice with authority because they've been doing this for a while and they're very vocal, and other people on Reddit that also don't know much about what they're talking about are looking to them for answers. When they come out and they blatantly admit and almost proudly proclaim that they don't care how what they say makes other people say, then you know that there's a problem. That is such a toxic environment. I called this one guy out one time because he was causing some real problems for people. And I was having people privately DM me asking me for confirmation of what this guy was saying about what they were going through. And it's the kind of person that would, you'd be 3 months out from a surgery and he'd be like, oh God, I see so many problems. You got this, you got this, you got this.
Oh,
it's
sure.
How in the hell can you tell this when no one I know in the industry after 20 years can say the same? All these opinions based on, being an armchair quarterback is really, a lot of people on Reddit are very, they're very malleable as far as their impressions and what you can tell them. They take it as gospel. You know, it's a really
Yeah.
toxic environment.
Look,
I'm
kid,
glad
we
that you were
come
able
from
to
we
kind
come
of
from a
break away from
time that was pre-Reddit, but there was something called alt.baldspot, and it was essentially like it was basically Reddit. You know, I mean, it's run differently,
Right.
but it was an old school bulletin board, and I had just gotten into the field. I had found it, and I was just like, "Holy shit, man!" I mean, the lunacy and the characters that and the guys that rose to the top as far as being looked at as just having an encyclopedic knowledge of hair loss, and these kids were just they were kids in their parents' house.
Yeah.
You know, it was wild to me, and I would just watch this, and I was involved at the beginning, and then I was like, "This is crazy. I can't be involved in this." And then we had message forums, and that was insane. And I mean, these are dangerous places, and you can glean some information if you know how to kind of sift through the nonsense and not get involved personally. But that's tough, and especially when you're anxious about something, you want an answer fast, and you want to see if other people can relate. Everybody's different, man,
Yeah.
and most people
You're
don't
gonna
know
hunt
shit.
for that answer, that confirmation. You're just gonna like hunt for it until you find like
Right.
one other person.
Right.
And it's I think at this point with such volatile opinions, I think that like I've found a lot of good information from the Tressless ChatGPT tab, because you don't go down these rabbit holes, you get an answer. Granted, ChatGPT is always going to favor you and always going to like kind of agree with you. That's just like how the AI is set up. But like at a default, it at least saves you from just going down rabbit holes a little bit more. You can get like, for the most part, on the basics, like pretty good information and statistics. And I've found that and it kind of takes out the like yapping human element out of it, of somebody who's like wanting attention and wanting to seem like they know their shit.
And that's true. That's actually a good point. I checked it out myself, and I plugged in some very specific stuff that ChatGPT got wrong completely, and
Right.
because they're gleaning the information from either, sometimes they're just commercial websites they're gleaning the information from, and it's just the way that it is. Right now, eventually it will improve, but for your mental health, that's a lot better. Let ChatGPT give you the answer, and let them soothe your concerns. Let the AI soothe your concerns, because these people are animals, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm glad that you're doing better, and but I think your that was a smart move on her part to jokingly say she would give you a prescription to stay off Reddit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She sounds like a winner.
It's right up there with finasteride, It's a good one. All right, I just wanted to touch on that and I'll call in a couple months and I'll update you if anything.
Yeah. Congratulations! I'm glad you got to the other side. You got through that shed, and you're on your way back, brother. I'm sure the fact that you're telling me that you're seeing new hairs in your hairline that you didn't see before, that's pretty positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's given me some good hope for sure.
Okay, brother. Listen, good luck. Thanks for the call.
All righty. Thanks.
Care.
Take care, guys.
See ya.
888-659-3727. Yeah, I don't want to trash these social media places where these kids hang out, but it's just unfortunate, man. I mean, now that I was talking to Harry, because he's a young guy, so I wanted to ask him some questions, because I'm just getting into the new world of social media more, and just, I can't even believe, guys, we'll take your calls in a second, so hold on. I can't even believe what these kids, they have this new normal. Like, look, I have my hairline is receded, and it's kind of stayed this way. But I'm also a 59-year-old man who's been balding for 40 years. These kids somehow think that if your hairline isn't down to your eyebrows, that you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, these guys are setting themselves up for such a miserable life, because even if they do well on medication, they're most likely going to lose their hairline. It's going to they could keep a hairline. I mean, I kept a hairline, but it's not going to be where they think that it should be, or where these new hairlines are being placed from clinics, overseas, because that doesn't really exist in nature in most cultures and most demographics. How do I say that without offending anybody?
I think you said it fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, no need to risk it.
I wanted to say something funny now, but now since you said don't risk it, I'm not going to. All right.
But by the way, everyone hit the like button, please. Show your support. We are sitting here at no charge to you, taking up our own sweet time.
But
on Friday.
Thousands of 15-year-old boys like busting on the height of my hairline. It's hilarious. And then you have kids that are defending me. One guy, and I actually said I'm old enough to be a grandfather, but one guy's like, he's so old. What do you expect? He's got a lot of hair for his age. And I'm just like, well, that hurts too.
Do me a favor. Don't defend me.
Don't defend me, all right? Let's see who this is. But anyway, there's this new normal that when we were kids, we didn't expect it. We expected men to have hairlines of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Like we expected that because that's what you saw in nature. Yeah. These new, incredibly bizarre hairlines weren't being built.
That's why the Norwood hair loss chart starts at Norwood 2.
Right. Exactly.
It's supposed to be like that. That's what we all know because that's what normal was.
That's right.
And now everyone's rushing to get the Norwood level. It doesn't exist, but they say it does by calling it a Norwood 1.
Yeah, they call it
doesn't exist,
like Norwood
people.
1. I'm a Norwood 1.5. I want to get back to a Norwood 1. Well, that never existed in nature.
Yeah.
And it definitely didn't exist.
12-year-old hairline.
Yeah, that didn't exist on the Norwood Hamilton scale, which is imperfect, by the way. But
of course,
the reality is most men over the age of 22, 23 years old have a slightly recessed hairline. There are people who keep a straight hairline throughout their lives. And then there are people who keep a straight hairline until they're maybe 40. Then it gets slightly recessed, and the process is very slow for them. But you're going to be hard-pressed to find a man with a very straight hairline. You got guys like actors like Brad Pitt who kept it. I guess George Clooney kept it. I mean, it's slightly recessed now, but it's strong. But it's really unusual, man. It's really unusual. Anyway, let's see who this is. But yeah, don't defend me and call me old. I know how old I am. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, man. It's Jack from Florida.
Hey, Jack from Florida. What's happening?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, brother. How are you? I got a transplant done. I'm going to say it was about 2 years ago, the front portion done.
Okay.
I'm happy with the hairline and everything. I'm starting to thin out kind of behind it. And I don't know, it looks like I got an FUE. It looks like maybe there was, I don't want to say over harvest, but it looks like there was more taken from the sides and the back. I had like 2,000 grafts done. Do you think...
How long ago?
If I could pick any... 2.5 years.
Okay.
So, do you think, I guess, which doctor, if I was going to go and get another one of these done, who would you all
who'd you go to?
Recommend? If I went to Barusco in Port Orange, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you all are familiar with him at all or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. We know just about everybody. Yeah. I was going to say we know everyone in the industry. That's not true anymore because there's so many pop-ups now that are coming out. But yeah, he's well established. He's been around for a long time. Did he put you on medication, or were you on medication before you started? Before you had a hair transplant?
I went on a top. No, I wasn't before. I went on a topical, the minoxidil, finasteride combo, and every time I take that stuff, it just starts to make me get a little bit like dizzy and feel out of it. So I kind of stopped doing that, and I just went to a shampoo. It's like the ketoconazole shampoo, and I'll do the micro needling, and that's it. But that's not, as you can imagine, that's not really old enough. I see it coming out.
It really won't. It really won't do
Right,
much
right.
for you. And here's the thing. Most doctors would tell you that you've already gone through. You already had surgery. You're considering having more surgery. Unless you have a foundation of a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, whether it's topical or oral, most doctors would recommend oral initially, I would think. You're just going to continue to play whack-a-mole until the supply no longer meets the demand. And how old are you now?
36.
Okay. So it's possible if you have another transplant, you could, even if you go to the best doctor known to man, it's possible that, you could have more hair on your head where you're thinning for another decade or 5 years, whatever it is. But you're also going to be diminishing the donor hair. You're already concerned about that. And you're not doing anything to maintain those grafts and to maintain your native hair. So it's kind of it's basically like having a hair transplant back in the 70s before there was any medication, you know? So it's, unless you really cannot tolerate any of these medications, then, you need to talk to your doctor about potentially trying something else.
But what would you recommend, oral versus topical with that, if it's the medication?
I can't recommend.
Or
yeah, go ahead. Sure.
If I were you, I would go to the basics of what we've known for the past 25 years, and that would be with what we know works, or at least has the highest probability of working, is oral finasteride, preferably name brand Proscar, because that's a 5 milligram tablet. This is the way I've been doing it for over 20 years now. It's a 5 milligram tablet. It's the original finasteride. Came out even before Propecia. Okay, I recommend this. I'm not a doctor, just so we're clear, but I recommend this because it is the original. It's the baseline from which everything else is trying to copy, as far as like the generics. And at a 5 milligram tablet, you have options for how you're taking it, because you can get a pill cutter for just a few bucks, cut that pill into quarters, and in your case, I would recommend that you start off titrating up into a normal routine. So, again, I'm not a doctor, but this is a program or a schedule that I've put forth with a lot of patients that even had side effects in the past, and as they titrated into this very slowly, they did not have side effects. So you mentioned early on that you got dizzy from the topical, and that was a combination finasteride and minoxidil. So what got you dizzy was the minoxidil, most likely. So that's why I'm saying just start off with finasteride and take 1/4 of that pill 1 day a week for 1 month. Do it every Monday, 4 Mondays in a row or what have you. And then if you're fine on that, then month 2, go to Mondays and Thursdays. That's twice a week. If you're fine on that, then on month 3, go to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you're fine on that, then you can experiment with going daily. And if at any point you start to think that you're having side effects, you got 2 choices. You can push through, because a lot of times any sort of mild side effects do dissipate over the course of the next several weeks, or you can back off to the previous month's schedule where you were feeling pretty good. Okay, and you can keep bouncing between those 2 points. But the point of this is to get used to taking the medication, and to move this into your system slowly, so there's no it's not going to be a shock to your system, but to avoid a shock to your system, for lack of a better. And then you can look at how that is not just fortifying the native hair that you have now, but also your donor area, because what we know now, after many years of dealing with hair restoration surgery, is that donor hair is not always DHT resistant, contrary to what you're told right before you get in the chair and have your surgery. You need to take it not just for your native hair on top, but also for the native hair in the donor area.
And let me make this point, Joe, before you finish, because it's something that people don't realize. The hair that's being moved today via FUE, especially when all the surgeries are FUE now, is far less DHT resistant than if you were to take it from the occipital area and certain parts of the sides, like if you were doing a strip surgery. So I would say, in general, only about a third of the hair that's being moved in today's FUE is heavily DHT resistant. It is the most DHT resistant. Everything else is very prone to miniaturization, and I don't know why doctors aren't saying this. I try to tell people that all the time, and I say if you're expecting to, if you have a family history of significant hair loss, if you're going to progress to a 5, 6, something like that, you really want to consider, if you're going to go through surgery, to consider strip surgery, at least having 1 or 2 strips, so you can get the most DHT-resistant hair moved, and then they can go in and cherry pick later. So in a case like yours, where everything was FUE, and this goes for anyone who has 100% FUE, medication is really necessary. And if you do well on medication, the transplant could last you for decades, possibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I always intended, the front, I always wanted a little bit more. I have really thick hair to start with.
That's great.
Like coarse hair and thick and dark, so it covered well.
That's great.
But I always intended to get another one in the front, like a transplant, at least for that. How long, if I go back on the medication, would you recommend staying on that? Because I guess I could probably have some of this that kind of is falling out or thinning now that it might come back.
You have to be on it for life. If you start the medication, once you start it, it's kind of like saying, well, how long do I have to brush my teeth? Well, you have to brush your teeth for life, otherwise you get gum disease.
But does it come? Could what's fallen out come back when I start the medication?
Yeah, it can. It depends on how much you lost. It depends on when the hair. The rule of thumb is you can probably regain hair that you've lost within the last 5 years. I've seen people who've regained hair, who've been balding for decades, and all of a sudden, they have a lot more hair. People who are on either just finasteride or maybe on oral minoxidil as well. So we really don't know what that reality is. But if it's relatively recent and you do well on the medication, you may not need another transplant.
Yeah, I wanted to get one anyway, just because I wanted to get the front to be thicker, but then I wanted to take and say, okay, let me do the front, and then whatever else we can get, fill that in kind of behind it. But
you may actually get a thicker, more robust growth in the front, even from the grafts I replaced. You may not even need a transplant in the front. The thing is, you want to kind of give the medication a while to start to work and see how well you're doing on it, even before you have surgery.
No, I understand.
If you're happy with Marco, if you're happy with Brusco's work, you should go back to him and talk to him about your concerns. And let me ask you a question: were all the extractions done by Marco, or did he have technicians doing the extractions?
No, he did them all.
Yeah, that's great. This is what I know about him. He's never applied to the IHS, which is an organization I founded like 23 years ago. But I've always had a good feeling about this guy. I always felt that he was doing his best to be the best doctor he can be and the best hair transplant surgeon he can be. And I think he's an ethical guy. As far as we're the clearinghouse from complaints, so we don't get a lot of ethics. I've never gotten anything about Marco. So I don't have the opportunity to see a lot of his work because he's not part of my organization. I think he's a stand-up guy and a good doctor. So I think he made a good choice. Are you happy with the results? Overall?
Yeah, I've seen some other... Yeah, I am. Nothing was done to, I don't feel like anything was done that, did any damage. I see a lot of stuff online that's a total nightmare. So I don't have it definitely is better, and it's just... I feel like I always wanted a little bit more, and I know everybody probably says that. Well, that's not, that's something that you always hear. But yeah, I have a lot though, in the back part. I feel like I got more grafts taken on the side than I did in the back, and they just plucked out a certain number and said, okay. And like I feel like I've had other doctors look and say like, dude, you have so much in the back that we can still like take, and nothing was overdone. I buzzed my head like a 2, 1.5 on the side.
What did they say about the sides? They said you got so much in the back. But what did they say about the sides? Did any doctor agree that you had like maybe it was over harvested or too much was taken?
No, I've only had one other consult. I mean, I can just see it when I cut it down, like how it is. Like it's definitely more on the sides. It looks like it was tore up a lot more than the back. I don't know what you guys think about, like how low you should be able to cut something, or.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to ask you some questions about your hair. Would you say that your hair, as it grows, and you can tell this when it's a shorter hairstyle, does it tend to stick out more of a right angle from the side of your scalp, or does it lay flat like it does in the back? Naturally.
It'll lay flat. It's thick.
It does lay flat.
Yeah, I have really coarse hair, like really bad. Like I can't shave my neck; it's so coarse and thick.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about the neck. I'm talking about sides. Okay.
Yeah, sides. Right. It lays flat. Yes.
Okay, and as far as the density of the sides, does it match the back, or did Dr. Brusco even mention that it looks like it might be a bit thinner on the sides? Like what was the lead up to this as far as the hair on the sides of your scalp? What was it like?
It was just the same everywhere, thick. Now I can definitely tell when I like fresh get a haircut. For those first, I'll get like a 1.5 cut usually, and I can see for the first like couple of days that there's definitely more taken on the sides than in the back kind of middle part where it's super thick. Where they do like when I see the strip people where they get the strips cut, like that piece is like super thick. I can't tell that really anything was even done there, but I can tell on the sides a little bit. And maybe it's the angle of the light and it is that way. I don't feel that way. I feel like for sure that I've got tons left in the back, but yeah.
Yeah, it does. Like that. That's what I was leading up to, because I've seen a lot of cases where even without surgery, the angle of how the hair exits the scalp when the hair is cut short, you can't not see scalp, because the hair on the scalp, or the hair on the scalp hides the scalp because of layering, the way that it lays on top of the scalp. Like if you were to if you were to look in between hairs as they stand straight up on top of your scalp, if you could look down, you'd see a lot of scalp. And that's why people see a lot of scalp when you buzz your head, because there's not enough hair to layer. It doesn't layer on top of each other. You look at pictures of Brad Pitt when he shaves his head, and people lose their damn mind saying, "Oh my God, Brad Pitt's losing his hair." No, he's not. Everyone does that. Everyone's head looks like that when they buzz their head. So that's the effect I was trying to, like, some people have that effect even with longer hair. And so that's what I was trying to, zero in on you. But it sounds like it wasn't the case for you. But ultimately, it may not be an over-harvesting issue, simply because you are removing hair and you are creating spaces in between those hairs. So he may have taken more from the sides, which I'm not saying that's right or wrong, because your case is sight unseen. We're just talking over the airwaves, but it may actually be something completely normal. I don't know, because it's not a lot of grafts that were taken. It just depends on how he distributed those extractions in the overall pattern. So, I do agree with Spencer. Go talk to him.
Yeah. Is there? Obviously it's expensive again. You guys know way more than I do about this from around here. Is there anybody else that you highly recommend that's in this area if I wanted to get like 2 opinions on the second one, if it wasn't just going to the same guy again? Not that I'm opposed to that. I think he did a really good job.
Not on the west coast of
anywhere,
Florida. There used to be a doctor in the west coast of Florida, but he's moved to California. But in South Florida, you've got a couple of options. I personally work with a doctor down there, Dr. Aaron Nussbaum in Coral Gables. He's wicked good. He's outstanding at what he does. And who else we got in Florida?
I mean, you could always go and get an assessment just to make sure that everything, just they're going to be honest with you. Just say, look, I want to see if I was
like
over,
you said, another opinion.
if I was over harvested, just whatever, get a second opinion. Make sure you obviously see a physician, not a salesperson. I think it's a good idea to see. I think Joe's suggestion is good. You can go to iahrs.org and you can check out doctors in South Florida. But yeah, I mean, I think Brusco, he does a good job in general. I can't see your head, so I don't know if you are over harvested. But I mean, you only had how many grafts? 2,000 grafts, you said, or 2,500?
Yeah. I don't think it was like, it's nothing like what I see on there where they post their picture and everybody's like, holy smokes or whatever when they see it. Like I had my stuff on one of your sites, one of the sites in there where I think I found you all. It was like a message board or something where I actually put the photos up and everybody was like, damn, this looks really good. So I don't think it was anything like overkill or a bad job or anything. It's just me. It looks like there was a little more on the sides and the back. I have a lot more and I definitely want to do more, but there is a school of thought when it comes to, especially working in the hairline, where the physicians will try to go for slightly thinner diameter hair, which you're going to find on the sides of your scalp as opposed to the dead center occipital region. So, sometimes, especially since you have thick, coarse hair, it's possible, and that's one of the beautiful things about FUE is that you can cherry pick to some degree. It's possible that he didn't want to use a lot of that occipital hair in the front. And that's why he decided to move more from the sides. But now, essentially for the mid-anterior scalp, he'll probably go deeper into the center of your scalp and utilize that hair. So you eventually have more of a, of an even thing happening. It will be palpable, I think, if you decide to have another surgery. So, you may not notice that it's thinner in the back once he takes more out from the center. So, I mean, there's some docs will do that. So it may not have been done by accident. He made it like, I'm going to utilize these side hairs because they're slightly thinner in caliber and put them in his hairline. Does that make sense? I understand. That makes a lot of sense.
That's good because I'm really hungover and I'm not even sure what I'm talking about at this point.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense, man. It sounds good. I think, I mean, he's good. He's a good guy. I didn't have any issues at all. Like, I would definitely recommend people to at least go there and consider.
Yeah, look, I just call it like it is. This guy's never applied to the organization. He doesn't, pay any dues or support us in any way. I mean, once in a while he'll give me a thumbs up online and say you're doing great work. But just because he's not part of what we do doesn't mean that I don't have access to, like I said, we're the clearinghouse for complaints. There's so few good doctors out there that I call a spade, and I think he's good at what he does.
Okay. Well, I'll check can you say your site again? I'm sorry.
You can go to IAH as in Harry, RS as in Sam, .org, O-R-G.
Okay.
But again,
boys,
you've already had a good experience, brother. So I mean, why mess with it?
Yeah. No, I know. It's just you always want to make sure that when you're dropping $10,000-$15,000 that you're that you're doing it from whoever you think is best. I did have a good experience, but I see stuff online. It seems like the Wild West, and anybody can just raise their hand and do it. I mean, there's some brutal stuff online. It's like, oh my God, and I'm glad that that didn't happen.
That's a sound clip.
It is the Wild West, and you could talk to Marco about that because he's part of the trade organization. It's a very political club that, in my view, has allowed this industry to turn to shit. And he happens to be a good doctor who's part of these, this old boys network that has essentially done nothing to stop the follicular holocaust that's going on in this industry. So, anyway, brother, that's the only thing that I have. I don't have anything against the guy. That's the only time I raise an eyebrow when I hear his name is because I know he's very involved in the politics of things, and there's so much more that could be done for unsuspecting patients that just it's not happening. But you found a good guy, so good luck. Talk to him about getting on medication. Again, you may, even though you're thinking you want another hair transplant, you may not need one.
Yeah.
You may get so much growth that you're like, holy shit.
Can I ask you all one more with the medication? What's the minimum that you think somebody could take with that a week to actually see a result? And like, do you have to eventually get to where you're firing that thing every day, or can it be like something?
I'm not a doctor, but I've known guys. Listen, I took a 5 milligram dose once a week for decades, and I've only recently upped my dosage because I have some retrograde now.
Many decades. A lot of decades.
Well, no, I mean, I've only been on the drug for 30 years, but, you know, Joe's making an old Joe.
I started out every other day.
Yeah.
I started out Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for probably 5 years to start.
Yeah, I've known people who've only taken it twice a week, a quarter pill twice a week, and they've had results. So you just have to, you know, I think Joe's approach is a smart approach. A lot of doctors won't suggest that. They're starting to suggest it now. It's funny that Joe and I, you know, I've been saying that this is dose dependent for 30 years, and every doctor was like, why do you tell people that on your radio show? That's one of the, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you kids don't know what the radio is, but I'm like, because it works. What do you want me to say? To me, less was more. Why not have the ability to take more in your back pocket? So you can start with a small dose, talk to your doctor about it, and just feel it out. See how you do.
Yep.
But you could get in a year. You could be at the point where you really don't want surgery's always going to be there for you. So you could be at the point where you're going to be like, I don't even need surgery.
Yeah,
and then you could send Joe a check.
I'll try it.
All right, brother.
Send him the check for $10,000.
Yeah, we'll take the money.
Yeah.
Screw Marco.
All right.
I'm just kidding, Marco. All right, brother. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for the call. Good luck. Bye-bye.
It's always like the last drink of the night that throws you over, though.
Yeah.
To the point where
that's the one that you forget. You forget about the next day. What?
I woke up this morning. I was dreaming that I was in the Sahara Desert. First of all, you know, I was so fucking thirsty.
And this camel was kissing me, and it was just really weird. And I woke up, and
it was unbelievable, dude. Anyway, what a week, though. What a week. Let's see who this is.
What a week.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hi there. This is Tammy from Chicago.
Hey, Tammy. How are you?
Hey, Tammy.
Good. Hi, Spencer and Joe. How are you?
You know what? Can't complain, really.
Doing well.
What's going on?
Except for Spencer's hungover.
Yeah, but you know what?
Exactly.
The fact that I'm at a point in my life where I could just, it doesn't make a difference. I could sleep till any time of the day. You know, it's not so bad. It could be worse, right?
Could be.
Yeah. So what's happening?
So I was calling because I've been listening to your show and even today. So I had a question.
Okay.
I know what I did after talking to you all a couple months ago is I started finasteride. I microdosed my way up. I continued to see doctors. I went out to Shapiro and had a tricoscope done so they could measure, my hair. And I go back in 6 months just to see where we are with that and whether or not the medication is helping or where I'm at status-wise. But I worked my way up. I'm actually at 5 milligrams of finasteride. I guess with women, that tends to be more effective is what I've read and what my dermatologist and I have a functional medicine doctor as well that actually takes 5 milligrams herself. So that's where I'm at with meds right now. I'm still doing a compounded topical that's got minoxidil, finasteride, and dutasteride, and I'm just spot treating. But my question is, okay, I'm considering going on oral minoxidil as well.
How many months before you finish the question? How many months have you been taking oral finasteride now?
Okay, so I started in June, but I was like a big baby because I have terrible anxiety over the hair loss.
Sure.
So I started in June, and I did I know. I wanted to ask you guys too. I'm like, is there ever a time when you like don't wake up in the morning and think about it anymore?
You know,
going on a different track.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to, you know, be in that position. I do think about it still, again, because I've lost some ground over the years. But you know, like I think about it more when I do my hair because it's exhausting. But I also appreciate the fact that I've been able to save so much hair. So I don't necessarily have the same anxiety that I did when I was young about the future of, you know, what's going to happen with my hair. So that's good. But you know, once you cross over that line into hair loss, it's just you learn to live with it. And if you're lucky enough to save enough hair where you can still style it and still feel like you look pretty good, you learn how to deal with that too. So it's not quite as anxiety provoking.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get there one day.
Well, how is your hair right now? Did you see any improvement?
Yeah, so there's a lot of little baby hair. So like I've got like the male pattern. So it's like my temples, the temple peaks that have gone up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think it's thinned. Like to me, it's thinned in terms of like the terminal hairs that are there. So some of the hairline is receded. I think it's gotten a little thinner, like the frontal third portion, I guess, is what you might call it. But has it improved? There are quite a few like of those like little miniaturized or / baby hairs that are coming in. So there's no bald spots. But yeah, yeah.
Well,
so
I mean,
that's the part.
Now, here's the thing. You know, you're still relatively new on the medication, and it's very possible. You know, some women do respond well to it, and it's very possible that you're going to be able to have a complete cessation of your hair loss. And you say you're growing some new hair, that could end up becoming terminal hair too. The problem is, anytime you add a new agent to your regimen, you know, you can go through a shed. You have to be emotionally prepared for that.
Right.
You know, and that's if you're not shedding right now, and if you're not seeing things get worse, you're probably in a better position than you were when you were actively seeing things get worse, right?
Yeah, so a lot of the shedding has minimized. For a long time, though, I stopped, color treating my hair. I stopped heat styling and everything like that. So that helped a lot with the shedding. And so, yes, you're right. That part has improved because I actually have the OCD with it. I count the hairs.
Sure. I get it.
You know, this is like, I know you guys get it. It's like, I think, Spencer, you said it like was a cancer of the spirit. And like, you hit the nail on the head with that. It's like every day, you know? And anyways, I'll go off that way. But
no, it's
so
listen, that's what it is. And that's why I started to do what I do, because it was killing me. It took a lot of years from me until I found a way to kind of process it and then turn my Achilles heel into my career, I guess. And you know, when I started this, I thought I was the only guy that really cared this much. And then I realized, I guess that's not the case, you know? So, yeah, I mean, we totally get it. And here's the thing. There are women out there that they'll always say, and you understand this because you listen to the show, and this is most of the guys call in, but there are women out there that say, well, it's, you know, what's the big deal? You're a man. It's normal. It's not normal for a woman. But we all have the same feelings in our heads about the way we look and how we feel about ourselves, whether you're a man or a woman. So we just have to hide that pain a little bit more and kind of say, yeah, I guess, you know, more guys are dealing with hair loss, so I have to deal with it. But there's a lot of guys who are suffering, just like you are and just like I was. And just like Joe's still suffering, and he's got a complete head of hair at this point.
Yeah, you all both look great.
Well, thank you.
I go through you know, situations where I'm not too happy with how things work out. You know, when I wake up and, you know, I go through.
That's just an old age issue, dude. I told you can take those pills.
well, there is that.
Yeah.
But there's the there's the issue of, you've heard of bad hair days. Well, when you're dealing with hair loss, you can have bad hair months. And I was kind of joking about that with Adrian when he called in earlier. But
dude, I've had a bad hair life.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, bad hair life. Yeah, but it's it comes and goes, right? Ebbs and tides and ebbs and flows, and you got you especially when you're going through what you're going through. You're just getting started with the legitimate resources for or treatments to actually do something for you, and you're seeing some benefits, and that's great. But look, I've been through more than most people when it comes to trying to bring my hair back. I've had the bad surgeries. I've had a lot of good surgeries, but still, it's a lot of surgeries to cover a lot of area to deal with a lot of previous surgical damage, and taking a lot of medication since then, or since that journey started of repair over 20 years ago, and we talk about, like, when you're in the surgical world and you have big surgeries or multiple surgeries. We talk about antigen synchronization or desynchronization. When all the hairs have been transplanted, some of them start to go back into their original growth cycles. So, a year and a half after your surgery, you don't have so many hairs growing as you did, say, 12 months after your surgery, where 4,000 grafts, 8,000 hairs, they've all broken ground. They're all growing, they're all sprouting, and they're all contributing to this, this new you, as they call it. But then 6 months after that happens, where you got this great mane of hair, 20% of it's gone because those hairs have gone back into telogen. And it's like, what the hell's going on? And even years later, my last surgery, which is just a small, fill-in of a spot that was never addressed, that was 5 years ago. I still, I'm going through it right now, where I'm having maybe a desynchronization or something. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not.
Dude, this poor lady just wants to answer about minoxidil.
Yeah.
Well, she's getting more than she bargained for. but the point is that it does
away.
Continue.
It's not like it's
no matter how much work or how much recovery you've had, it's even if there is no issue, it can still bring up those we'll say the pain years later, because you remember, and you can be kind of worried about what's going on, even if nothing's going on at all, where everything's perfectly fine.
Right.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's just something you got to learn to deal with, and eventually, while you notice it, and it might be a little bit of a concern, it doesn't have to be debilitating. It doesn't have to be something that that occupies your mind all day long, to where you can't lead a happy and productive life. We've all been through that, and we just deal with it. And you know what? I mean, if you can go through life without having anything bug you, to where it causes self-issue or self-image issues, then you're a very rare person on this planet, because everyone has some sort of self-image issue. Don't think that you're alone, because you're not.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because it is. It's like every morning I'm like, every time I get out of bed and I have to like go to the mirror and do the whole routine, and it, no one can tell, like, on my head. Like, most people are like, don't notice it, but I notice it. But what I did want to ask you all about was, I did what I think what Joe, you had suggested, doing like microdosing with finasteride, and I did that, and it worked out well for me because of the anxiety that I have and just kind of like easing into it. But my question then is, if I did want to try oral minoxidil at some point, can you also microdose oral minoxidil?
I'm not a doctor, but yes. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. The challenge becomes being able to cut the tablet that they give you, because I think that I don't know if they're doing 2.5 tablets now, or if it's just 5 mil and you got to cut it in half. I'm not sure how it's done.
Yeah, I feel like it's a 2.5 tablet.
Yeah, they have 2.5 and 5.
Yeah. I think I would get the 2.5.
Yeah, then you can try quartering a tablet, or even splitting it in half. I mean, talk to your doctor about it, of course. If you're dealing with Dr. Shapiro, talk to him about it. But I don't look. When I talk about microdosing, titrating up on finasteride, I'm talking about any medication that you want to, that you can actually do that with. Like if it's a gel cap, like dutasteride, you can't do that, obviously. But the only way you can titrate up is with spacing out your dosage, your doses, like once a week, twice a week, whatever. But you can't take larger or smaller dosage per ingestion. So, there's no reason why you can't do that with oral minoxidil.
With oral minoxidil, like that's what I was thinking. I know I got you.
Let me ask you, if you were able to maintain what you have right now for life, would you be happy?
I would be happy, yes. And I also have like a terrible perfectionist, and I'm 53. I'm not like thank God this is happening when I'm 53, because I probably wouldn't be able to function if I was unfortunately some men and women that lose it when they're younger. So I hit menopause, and so would I be happy with it? Yes. But honestly, I stopped coloring it. I have really a big baby with I just let them cut it just straight across in a bob. I won't even let them use the little comb to go through it, because I just don't want even a single hair to come out. And I have a ton of hair everywhere, but in the front like that. Yeah. So it's a tricky question, because it's I want to say, on some days, my answer probably would be yes. I can look at myself and be I still look like I have a lot of hair, know. But on other days, I'm I don't like the way I look, and I'm not happy, and I want to go get the hair transplant, and I want to take all the steps to get those.
Well, when you went to see Shapiro, what was his? What were his thoughts about your situation?
So they're really thorough, which I appreciated, because I had 3 consults. So I talked to first my first.
Spencer, take the camera off me.
Appointment.
Okay.
My first appointment with Shapiro, I talked to Nicole, who's a woman's advocate. She's really great. They had me do blood work. They gave me the script for the blood work, and then I followed up. These were phone conferences, and I phone conference with the PA, who's Brian. He spent a really long time with me on the phone, and then I drove out and I met with Brian, and he's the one that took they have a whole professional setup with photos. It was great. So they tell you exactly what direction to look. So they've got the baseline photos from when I met with them, and then they did the tricoscope. So there's there's no hair transplant on the line with Shapiro right now. He basically said, if you stabilize, that yes, you could have one, because he's no, I don't normally see people with this much hair. So, I know the back hair, there were I don't know, 100 per whatever. When they do the scan, there's 100.
100 grafts per square centimeter.
Yeah.
Or follicular units per square centimeter, which is that's pretty amazing. Yeah.
So that's kind of what he said. And then up in the temple area, it was at 60. So I've lost that much. So
yeah, but that's still luckily have a lot. Even though you may not feel that way, you still have. Yeah.
Where was it? 100. What area of the scalp was it? 100.
It was 100 in the back.
In the back, but the temples are at 60.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just so you know, I don't know if Dr. Shapiro told you this, but it's not supposed to be as high in the front as it is in the occipital region, especially in temples. It's going to be a lower density. Did he explain that to you?
Okay. So I met with Brian, the PA, so he was just basically taking it as a baseline. So no, it wasn't explained, but I know what I used to have compared to what, But it's helpful for me to hear that from you all, because I'm in complete OCD mode over.
Well, it's possible if you only had. It's possible you had 75 per square centimeter, and you've only lost 15% in that area, which could be noticeable, sure. But if you can maintain that and maybe reverse some of that miniaturized hair while on medication, I mean. let's put it this way. As difficult as it is, you are in a lot better position than, I would say, the vast majority of women in your age range who are dealing with hair loss. So,
Yeah,
and
right.
let's not even, there's women who are 20 and 22. I mean, these girls that contact me, it's really, they're devastated, and it's so significant when you take a look at their hair. So, listen, you can't compare. This is you. This is your situation.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to diminish it. But when you're thinking about it, try to think about the glass being half full at this point, because you're still in a good position. You're getting on medication at the right time. If the medication works well for you, and you say that you are seeing a cessation of hair loss and some things are changing, so it looks like it's going to work for you, then, you're pretty lucky.
Okay.
And you're working with a good clinic. So they're going to really, keep things, they're going to continue to assess you. You're going to be able to get on the ball. And if Dr. Shapiro says that at some point, if you're stabilized, he's willing to transplant you, then he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Okay.
But just
Thank
know
you.
that once you get cut, that's it. You're cut. And once you go down that process, that's another year out of your life. Hoping that
I'm probably going to be calling you guys before I do that.
Yeah, well, we're always here for you.
I think I will. Yeah. Thank you so much.
right.
I appreciate it. So
Good
that
luck.
really helps, and you guys are the best. Thank
Okay.
you.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Take care. Bye, Tracy.
I think it's Tammy.
Tammy. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Tammy.
Can't forget
Tracy.
people's names, dude. 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Hold on.
At least I got the T part right.
Please hold. Please hold. Caller, hold on. Or callers, hold on.
What could he be looking at? Dun, 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 dun. The election's over.
I'm trying to get late,
Don't need
okay?
to keep checking on it.
I don't have much time left.
Like I said, the election's over.
I don't know how much time I have left. As long as I have these opportunities, I'm going to take them. Guys, the phone number is 888.
At least wait till we get off the air. Come on.
659-3727. Dude, at my stage in life, you can't wait. You got to take action. And this world,
6 months from now, he's going to be turning his mic down and turn the camera on me so he can get it on.
dude, no, with these women today,
The opportunity arose.
in today's world, if you don't text them back right away, they're on to the next sucker who's going to buy them dinner. That's the way it works.
The next sucker. That's good.
Look, come on. I'm not stupid. She may even be listening, but that's reality. What do you. These women, at a certain point in their lives, they own the world. They have the power. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I accept it. I'm good with it. You
can accept it and know how to work within the confines of the situation you find yourself in.
But our value goes up as we get older. That's just the way that it is. I didn't make the rules, people.
Sage words from Spencer Kobren.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Am I on?
You are on. Who's this?
You certainly are.
Hi.
Who is this?
A second-time caller, Dan Cooper, Daytona Beach.
Dan Cooper, Daytona Beach.
What's up,
Let's
Dan
check you
Cooper?
out in Spokio. Go ahead. What's up?
Hey. Just to give you some background, 36 years old, first started showing signs of hair loss at the age of 15. Went from a straight hairline to a Dracula-style hairline. And I'm the only one in my nuclear family with this fucking problem. My dad died full head of hair. Dad died full head of hair. Grandpa died. Both grandpas died full head of hair. Brothers are just fine.
How do you know they didn't have micro penises? Everyone's got an issue.
Yeah, no, I tend to I discover, if you don't have a hair problem, you tend to have issues elsewhere.
Right.
But so I had nobody to turn to when I first started seeing these signs of hair loss. I just took matters into my own hands. I got my first hair transplant at age 22. Then I got two more 14 years ago, then one 5 years ago, and then my last one was 3 years ago. I plan on getting another one in the summer of 2025. Hopefully, I think I only need 2 more, and I'll be fine. Now, I understand what you said, that the supply will never meet the demand. I'm fine with that. I'm happy with what I get. But I look forward to it. I look forward to getting these transplants. If I didn't know the science behind it, I would have thought it was magic. Because it's like, to me, it's the best solution thus far that I've discovered. If I had read your book when it first started happening, things would probably be much different. But
you might not have needed a transplant, but you also, obviously the transplant worked out for you. You're going on your 4th. So tell me about your situation. Are you on medication now? I don't remember.
No, I'm not on anything. I'm sorry, and I know you guys are advocates for it, and I'm not against it or anything. I just don't know if it's for me at this current juncture.
We're advocates. We're advocates for you. We're advocates for the patient to have and for the consumer to have the best possible experience and long-term results if they decide to go under the knife. That's it. Honestly, if you can avoid taking medication and somehow get away with it, that's the best bet. I don't love the idea that I've been on medication for 30 years, but I also appreciate that it worked out for me so far. And it's given me a long time, to, keep this tumbleweed on my head. So I feel pretty good about it.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I think,
you're going to have your 4th transplant in 14 years.
Correct.
Okay. Who's your doctor?
It's a guy in Melbourne, Florida. I got my first one in New York City. The second and third were from the same doctor in Melbourne.
Okay. And you're happy with all of them?
Yeah, it's a grueling process. The first 3 weeks, it's, the first 5 days is hell. It gets better into the second week, the third week. By the end of the third week, I'm fine again. I go back to work.
Getting strips?
Yeah, I'm a stripper all the way.
And that's one reason why you're going to be able to maintain your results without medication for a longer period of time than someone who's going FUE all the way. So that's, you made the right decision for yourself early on, and it's worked out for you. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know Joe, you're kind of a modern marvel. You had 10 of them, right?
Yeah, 10. Not all strips. I mean, was it maybe 5, 6?
I got to work on my posture here.
6 or 7 strips. I've lost count, and at least one of those was a scar revision. So it's not really, a strip surgery per se, but it did still yield some hair that could be transplanted. So and I try to be transparent. Like, I don't want people to say, "Oh, yeah, but you had this done and you didn't talk about it." No, I list them all every time, even small little BHT test surgeries I had. I include that in that 10 surgery summary. So yeah, but I've had a lot of surgery for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Most of it's strip.
And you have one scar or several?
One.
Okay, cool. So do I. They always cut over the old
that he knows of. I'm just kidding.
that I know of. No, I started out with 2 because my previous doctor did do the stacked over one over the other strip excisions. But then Dr. Wong was able to combine I was thinking about this just the other day. What Dr. Wong did for me 21 years ago on that surgical table the first time around was nothing short of a goddamn miracle, because no one was doing what he was doing at that time. Being able to combine 2 wide donor scars into one, and then subsequently every surgery keeps going into that same area. Magic. Yeah. Absolute wizardry what he was able to do, and I'm to this day thankful for how he was able to turn my donor area around, because it was screwed. It was screwed. My consultant at the time, Mike Furco, God bless him, said I was he ranked me a 4 out of 10 as far as my donor region because of that scarring issue, and Dr. Wong was able to overcome it. So anyway, a little bit of a rant there, but yes, I've had a lot of strip. So what's the next thing you're going to do? You're going to do another strip?
Yeah, I think I only need 2 more to be totally satisfied. Like you say, the supply will never meet the demand, but if I can get through 2 more, one for the crown, one for the top, my hairline's fine.
What's your crown like now?
It's almost nothing there, but I cover it up. I cheat a little. I use the kabuki.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Yeah, all right. Well, if all right, that's what I was going to say. Like, if you get enough from a transplant where you can use, I was going to say Topic or Dermatch, but you use kabuki, which is more or less the same stuff, and you're fine with that for the long term. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Right.
I still believe like if you said that you're not against medication, I still believe that you should at least just give it a shot, see how you like it for a year, and because
even
you may like what it does for you.
Right, I may, but I'm sort of afraid of it because I get impotent from Adderall if I take that, so it just kind of scares me. But I don't know. I guess I could warm up to it.
And that's interesting that you say that, because that's a really common side effect of basically you're taking legalized meth. So it's an amphetamine, and that's a major side effect. And you see it about it, you hear about it online, but there's no panic over it like there is with finasteride.
But there are also those extreme cases. I mean, I'm sure you've read about those extreme cases, where they just lose total function of their genitalia.
Yeah, we talk about that. They termed it post-finasteride syndrome. And what's interesting is even physicians who are kind of concerned about it, they don't fully understand the phenomenon. And some believe, even people talk about it, that they're not 100% sure if it's physiological. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't, but we do know that, at least in our experience, from 1992 till 2005, where Proscar was approved in 1992, which is finasteride, there was nothing online. Nothing online that came up. And in the first few years of my career, thousands of people called the program. I knew doctors, hundreds of doctors prescribing to thousands of patients, and this side effect never came up. Also, at the meetings, at the conferences, no talk of it. Like it just didn't exist. And then 2005, boom, a couple people started talking about it online, and then it became like this movement. And so they don't know if there's like a mass hysteria effect, or we just don't know. We don't know what the reality is. But yeah, if I would have read that before I started taking this medication, I wouldn't be behind this microphone.
No.
Yeah.
I would not have written The Bald Truth. I would not have done what I've done in my life. And I'd probably be pretty bald. So I get it. That would scare the shit out of me too.
Yeah. And I think what drives all of this is it's really the social stigma. Because, I don't know, otherwise I'd probably be fine with it. It's kind of a respectable look, the bald look. You got guys like The Rock and et cetera, and they make it work.
Well, now it is. And I would say that everyone's first line of attack, if they can deal with it, is to shave their head, especially these young guys in this particular time in the world. When Joe and I were kids, you had Yul Brynner and Telly Savalas and Mr. Clean. Those are the only people who had shaved heads.
Well, the other people that had shaved heads were neo-Nazis. Skinheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Aleister Crowley.
Yeah. What are you going to do? We had no choice.
Yeah.
And I look at guys like Rogan, who he is a couple of years younger than me, and I guess he felt he had no choice at the time, and he ended up having transplants that didn't work out, and now he shaves his head and he regrets ever having surgery because he looks so good with a shaved head. He wishes he would have just done that right away.
Yeah.
So that's it. I got nothing else for you, brother. So I'm glad you're happy with your transplant. And, you are in the minority, I would say, of guys who are not on medication, who started surgery at a very young age, and who have had good experiences. So I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, and in the event that my transplanted hairs do miniaturize,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm just going to give up and just move on with my life.
Well,
unless someone really convinces me that that finasteride and or minoxidil is the way to go.
Well, I'm not here to convince you of any of that.
And I'm open to it. I'm not totally against it.
Yeah, I'm not here to convince you to take medication. The reality is, you seem to be doing pretty well. Maybe your hair that was moved so far is more DHT resistant than other people's. It was taken out of your sweet spot because you had the strip, so there's a good chance it's going to last for a long time. But we see people have had long time strip surgery, good strip surgeries years ago, and eventually their hair looks thinner. That's just the way it is, and those are usually guys who are not on meds.
And I will say this: you've been you've invested all this time, effort, pain, suffering, as you're describing your recovery process each time. It doesn't make sense. Like I don't want to push you into this, but for you to say, if it doesn't work out, if it just keeps falling out, then you'll just move on.
Yeah, I
think
know.
it's
It would
a
be
shame
26. It would be $26,000.
You're putting yourself through all this.
Yeah.
Forget the money. Like money comes and goes. I'm talking about the trauma, the physical compromises that you've had to go through. The waste of all the elation that you've experienced. You just said that you love the experience.
I look forward to it. I don't love it.
Well, okay, fair enough. But you get my point. I mean, to flush all that down the toilet without having tried to prevent it from happening, from getting worse. I don't know. I hope that you reconsider because I would hate for you to regret this 5 years after you lose everything or lose enough to where you do give up and say, fuck, I wish I'd listened to Joe. I wish I'd tried it. I wish I'd listened to Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to say that I'm a proponent, and I think that we need to. It would be remiss of us not to tell people that unless you're on medication, these are the possibilities. But the one thing that I can't do is tell somebody to take the medication because that's their choice. And if this guy takes the medication and his dick falls off, that's on you, Joe. Just kidding.
I'm not telling him to take it. I'm saying
I'm just kidding.
It's a shame he's not going to consider it.
No. Listen, I've been on the drug for 30 years. I'm actually one of the biggest proponents of it in my life. But it's a situation where, sex is between our ears, right? I mean, that's how things start to operate and work. And if you think about it, and if you take the pill and you think about it, you can end up having problems.
You have a weird bedroom life.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it. It's weirder than I expected. Talk to your doctor as after you get your next transplant. Ask him what he thinks.
Will do.
All right, brother. Good luck. Thanks for the call.
Hey, thank you for doing what you guys do. Appreciate it. Love you guys. No homo, right?
Yeah, love you too, brother. No homo.
No homo.
I think we could say that again now, Joe. All right, brother. Take care.
I think we can.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
He said no homo. I wouldn't have said no homo, but he said no homo.
That's pretty good. You're getting it.
I'm working on it.
You got to get the hand gestures going, but that's pretty good.
I wouldn't have said no homo, but
He kind of pulls it out.
Come on.
It goes like this.
I know. Yeah.
But it's closer. It's kind of closer. We'll take one more call before we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
This is Gypsy from LA.
Gypsy from Los Angeles, California. What's happening, brother?
Yeah. Not much. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, and You know, it's so funny that I'm usually the last call. Lucky me, huh?
Yeah. Lucky
Yeah,
us.
by the way, everyone should hit that like button for that impersonation I just tried to do. At least show the appreciation there.
You actually got it.
Sorry, go ahead,
that was the
Gibson.
best one I've ever heard from you. So go ahead.
Yeah. After that impersonation, I almost wanted to say to you la trompolución, you know, but you know, I'm not going to say that.
Right on. That's fine.
Yeah.
What's going on?
You know, not much. I've been thinking of. Oh, well, you know what? Before I go into my my comment or my issue, my consideration actually, I wanted to touch bases on a call that you guys had. Like it was probably maybe a month ago or before that. There was this guy who called in regards to eugenics, you know, waiting and all that stuff. I don't know if you recall that call.
Mm-hmm.
How can I forget that one?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents on it in the sense that I am not surprised because if you guys remember the first time I called you guys was when Dr. Seti came to LA and he was scheduling these so-called appointments to give you a consultation. And I had expressed a certain satisfaction of how that went.
You expressed what?
Sorry, I find that funny. The so-called appointments. That's good.
well, that's what it was. That's what it was. So, yeah, and I had called and I had expressed the dissatisfaction of how that whole thing went down because, as if you recall, it was basically what this gentleman described. It was like he was. There was like 10 of us sitting around a table. There was really no consultation. He looked at the back of my head for like less than a minute. And then
did he sing to you at all? Any music?
Did he give you a book?
No. I was hoping, but you know, you can't have everything in life, right?
Yeah.
So, but he was, he did seem a little bit more like concerned about like getting to the next thing that he was going to do in LA. He was waiting for a moderator from a popular, you know, forum. And
he was stoked to hang out with Melvin. That's cool.
Yep, there you go. And he was like, "Where is he?" He said he was on his way, and hey, I'm gonna go to San Diego tomorrow. What do you guys think? How long? How can I get there? And I'm like, okay, where's my consultation? You know. So when I heard the call saying that he was on the phone, he was distracted, he was like all this stuff. I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's kind of like what I mean, it's not to that extreme, but it's my experience was similar to that like 3 years ago when I first started calling or whenever that was.
Well,
so,
that's unfortunate.
I don't think that this is a one and done thing. I think this is a little bit of maybe his character and maybe.
So do you find that he's kind of like I don't know, starstruck, preoccupied with becoming successful or famous, stuff like that?
I would say that that's definitely a factor. I don't know if that would be the whole thing. I would say that, yeah, for sure, I would consider that a factor.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't even know what to say at this point. That was a pretty, let's just say, impressive phone call. The recall of this patient was, and just the way that he portrayed everything and was able to, you know, tell that story, I was compelled. You know, it was really compelling and frankly very disturbing. That's all I'm going to say. Well, I just don't think that people could make that up. You know, you could sense that this was a real call. I sensed it right away. You know, I always have my hackles up. I always kind of look at things. Well, is this guy just trying to troll us? Is he maybe a competitor of this clinic or whatever it is? I didn't get that sense at all. Right away, I knew this was for real, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, me neither. When I listened to that call and everything that was said and done, the thing that stood out was the similarities of what I experienced to a lesser degree with what he was saying and the consistency of it. And just like you guys said, you know,
Joe's going to get a phone call today or later.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm not. But
There's already phone calls back and forth right now, so that it won't be another one.
Yeah.
Got it. So, but also in line with what you guys said, the results and quality of that clinic are not in dispute. It's something else. Is that extra, customer care, that little extra that makes the maybe the higher price almost feel like it's worth it. When you have that attention. I'm not saying give everybody a red carpet. I'm just saying just the amount of dismissal that particular client experienced. I probably would have walked. I would have walked out.
I have to disagree. I think every patient should have the red carpet treatment. I mean, this is a surgery that is going to. They're being. How do I put this? Patients are putting their lives and their futures in the hands of these physicians and in their clinics. These doctors should be honored that they're being chosen to potentially and hopefully change these people's lives for the better. And in honor of that, they should definitely honor their patients. A lot of doctors don't. I mean, you go to the eye doctor, you got to wait an hour. It's absolutely ridiculous the way these physicians they don't give a shit about your time. But when you're actually having surgery, and this is elective surgery, there's no excuse. Yeah. That red carpet. Yeah, if there were any issues, it would have been like, look, his hotel should have been paid for, maybe even given a free surgery or a discounted surgery.
The flight.
Whatever.
Yeah, a little, showing a little extra for the compensation. Yeah. And look, if it was a misunderstanding, it was a misunderstanding. I happen to think that it was not. I happen to think that I'd be as far as to consider that it was an absent-minded thing, that is like he didn't realize what he was doing. But I also think that that's part of the nature, based on my limited interaction with him. And that's why also when I was considering this clinic, which I'm no longer considering it.
Tell us how you really feel about it, brother.
Let me just chime in on this. Okay, I can't reveal anything,
sure.
but I've been talking to them about this situation, and I won't tell you what I'm almost positive what it is, but I can tell you it's not absent-mindedness. And
okay,
it's not absent-mindedness. It isn't. And I do know,
okay.
I can say with authority that as far as the way that that they wanted to set up their larger presence as far as their clinic goes, the way that they've expanded it, the way that they've been growing their presence, and I'm not talking about their social media and all that. I'm talking about how they do things internally. I can say that they've not only done a great job with it, they are improving it. Not because of any particular single situation, but because they did take my early guidance in how to be better at patient services. I don't like to say customer service because it's medical. And they weren't deficient to begin with, but when I start working with clinics, I'm not just saying, oh, let me see your photos and okay, great, you're in, start paying me. That's not the way it works. I put these clinics through the ringer when it comes to evaluating how they do things, and I look at how they educate their patients before surgery, assuming the patient has already said I want to come with you guys. But more importantly, I look at what they do after the surgery. And I asked them, one of the questions I asked them, I don't talk about this very often, but one of the questions I asked them is, what is your protocol for follow-up afterwards? And I help them shape their current protocol for follow-up. So I know it's excellent, but they've actually gone beyond what I originally set in place for them or guided them to. They actually have the most extensive long-term follow-up program of any clinic I know of on the planet. 5 years of follow-up with their patients. That's amazing. But it does. But on the flip side, it doesn't excuse any sort of bull that goes on before the patient's even in the chair, right? So I acknowledge that you know that there are issues, but what I'm saying is it's not an absent-mindedness issue. It's something different. And I am in talks with. Look, I don't take this shit lightly. And the caller was real. He was real, so I can confirm that because I'm talking to him. I'll go ahead and reveal that I'm talking to him, and I'm learning more about what happened. And that's why I can say it's not absent-mindedness. That's a different thing, and it's not a bad thing I'm talking about. Like it's not like it's some sort of much darker underlying issue going on, but it is an issue that I'm recognizing for what it is, and I'm in talks with him about what's going on. So just understand that they understand what's going on. They've talked to the patient. I'm talking to the patient, and we'll see how this pans out.
But boy, I heard the grapevine they were pissed at me for reacting honestly on the air.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? It's effed up.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be happening.
It is.
Period.
Well, especially considering, I mean, not that it will diminish anyone local, but especially considering that someone also flew across the sea to have this done and then pretty much wait the whole day. Whatever the reason was.
They flew to India based on the fact that this guy was an accepted member of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons and accepted into Joe's hair transplant mentor program. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
So that's why I get so pissed off. It's one thing when these two people also deal with these sites that have like online consultations. It's all about lead generation and marketing bullshit. So for us, or at least I mean, I'm not going to speak for Joe, but I'm pretty sure he feels the same way. This means something to me. I started this for a reason. I founded the organization for a reason, and they're representing the IHRS in my view. And if they're not representing them well, or my organization well, then I'm going to let them know. That's how I feel about it.
I'll say this. Here, this is what I'll say, and then I'm done with it. But
Joe, why didn't you tell me I look like I have a frisbee on my head? Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not looking at you. The mark of a good clinic is one that learns from their mistakes, owns up to it, and moves on, incorporating that into their future. Okay, so time will tell if they do learn from this, and make the changes that they need to make to keep this from happening again. And look, I'm the first to admit, like every clinic out there, like Spencer and I talk about this ad nauseum. Every clinic out there that's been around long enough to have a great reputation has at least one I say at least 10 people, but Spencer says at least one person that claims that clinic fucked him up. I think it's more like 10.
Yeah. Well, that's
ruin their lives.
Any business.
But my point is, it's not just a surgical screw up. Every clinic out there has patients that will freely talk about how the clinic dropped the ball on post-op, or didn't give them the after surgery they didn't get their care package that had their painkillers. I've seen that happen a lot, where some technician just forgot or overlooked.
What about the guy that called in? He didn't have any antibiotics and he got an infection.
Yeah. I mean, all kinds of screw ups like that are beyond direct surgical screw ups. Right, so these are organizational issues. These are internal operations issues that I work with clinics with all the time, and try to help them to That's another thing that I do is I help set up these internal protocols so that this shit doesn't happen. Or, humans are humans, so it happens less often. Every clinic has this. I don't care who you talk to. So it's just it's an organizational issue. It's on many levels with different clinics that stuff like this happens. But my point is the mark of a good clinic, like I said at the top of that, is a clinic that understands and admits what they did wrong, internally to themselves, and can say, all right, so this is how we're going to fix it and try not to do this again. Let's move on. That's all you can ask.
Yeah.
You know, but time will tell to see
Yeah.
if they actually do that. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, every organization.
And you would think
is
Pradeep
gonna
would pick up the phone and say,
drop the ball.
"Hey, Spence, I heard that call. Let's talk about this." You know, I didn't get a call. Nothing. I have to hear through the grapevine that he felt that I somehow did the wrong thing by being honest on the air.
From the grapevine.
You know?
Well, was the first stage of grieving denial,
Yeah.
right?
You know, I mean, honestly, if it were me, I'd be like, the first thing I'd want to do is say, you know, all right, this isn't good. Let me call this guy up and talk about it and say, you know, at least give him my side of the situation, or maybe say, you know, I had no idea. This is really, you know, this shouldn't be happening, whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I just file it
Well,
away, whatever. Just file it away.
Yeah. It is what it is. I do agree with Joe. You know, like, you recognize, you own up, and then hopefully you move forward, and then, you know, integrate that into your improvement package. And then, you know, that's what makes any business grow a lot of the times, you know, that they pay attention to those things. I just think that maybe the situation was a little bit, or it sounds maybe a little bit more grave than what potentially should have been, only because, yeah, a 2-hour delay, that might even be reasonable. A whole day, that's just a little over the top, right? But again, all I agree, all organizations have pitfalls, and there's at the end of the day, there's only human beings behind it who, you know, we're fallible.
That's correct. And look, at the end of the day, you know, why I am not happy with certain things. I definitely have been surprised at, you know, people have contacted me through the organization who end up asking us what we think about this particular clinic's packages. And I'm just like, we only recommend 2 doctors. And it's not even recommend. Only 2 doctors have been accepted to carry the IHRS seal. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
None of the other doctors in that clinic have even. There's no application process. They haven't sent in an application. You know, so that's just the way it is. So I'm a little like, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about this, and then this came up. So, you know, we'll see. My hope is that at some point he picks up the phone when he feels a little bit more comfortable, and we can have a discussion about this.
Well, maybe when things cool down a little bit more, you know, when emotions are a little bit lower.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not upset.
Well, that's always smart. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, listen.
All right, it's 5:30.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. Joe's going to be getting. They're waking up in India right now, and Joe's going to be getting a lot of phone calls.
Isn't it a holiday over there now? One of the you know, 1,000 holidays they have there.
I don't know.
I'm just asking.
Is it? I should know this thing.
No.
I don't think it's Diwali now. I think it's past. I could be wrong.
I think he's busting on all the holidays. Listen, we have a lot of holidays too, brother. My people.
That is true.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, I've done some consulting for your people, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys take more PTO on holidays than.
Listen, and if we're religious, there's more holidays.
Say that before Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
If we're religious, the holidays are off the hook, yo. So
yeah, I hear you. All right. Well, listen, I had another little thing that I wanted to talk about, but I'll do it on the next call because I know you guys. It's the end of the day, and
I appreciate that. Joe's got to go. He's upset. I'm just kidding.
No, sounds good.
All right, Gypsy, take care.
Well, he needs to pick up the phone from that call from India. So let him go.
All right, brother. You take care. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Bye-bye.
No
See you,
problem.
Gypsy.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram at Spencer Kobren. Follow Joe at Joe Tillman Official on Instagram. Yes. Anyone who's actually found this broadcast through my Instagram private chat, welcome. And anyone who's watching this show right now and doesn't know that we have a private chat on Instagram, follow me on Instagram I don't know. I don't offer you anything. I'm not selling anything. But, you know, it helps. It helps other people get this information. And, you know, I'll let you know when I'm live. When I'm live on Instagram as well, you can call in. I'm not going to do that tonight. And, but there's no discount codes. We're not hustling anything. I'm not partnering with anybody. Just tell them the truth. That's my hustle. We traffic in truth here at the Bald Truth, right, Joe?
That's right. Also a hair transplant mentor.
And hair transplant mentor. I forgot.
Damn it.
All right. Until next time, guys. Be strong. God bless. Thank you so much for listening. Good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.